readers. Welcome back to Read, Write, Roar. I'm Mrs. Spear, and I'm really excited because we're getting so close to being finished with the informational text that we've been writing together on the topic of frogs. Now, you've been helping me with frogs, and maybe you're doing something else at home, writing about your own animal topic. One of the things that we haven't talked about yet, but that's really important to talk about, is that when we are writers, we always want to keep in mind the people that are going to read our stories, the audience. And we want to do things in a way that makes it really easy to read what we're writing. Part of the work we have to do is to be able to check our work to make sure that it makes sense, and to check and do some what's called editing and revising. So we're going to do that today. And the other thing we're going to do today is add something called a table of contents, which is a text feature that you might see in an informational text, and it supports readers when they're reading the book. So let's get started. The first part today is we're going to think about revising. You may remember the other day when I was writing, I realized that I misspelled a word. That happens all the time with writers. So we're going to be thinking about what do we do when that happens, and then how do we check our work with that? Now, in the past, we've done some editing work where we've thought, are we remembering to put an uppercase letter at the beginning, put spaces between words, and then make sure there's punctuation at the end? That's a strategy that we have used with this symbol in our lessons. Something else that you might have used in your classroom is this strategy called CAPS, where you check for capitalization, make sure it all makes sense and the appearance is good, also that you have punctuation and spelling. Those are two things that you could do as a writer to check your work. So we've used these other strategies as writers to help us with our editing, and today we're going to use something new. What we're going to use today comes from this book, Inside Information by Dr. Nell Duke, who happens to be from Michigan. She has generously allowed us to be able to use her checklist as we're doing our work today. And she designed checklists that are made exactly for the age that you are in and the grade that you are in. So we're going to be really carefully today checking for these things because they're what we're expected to do as first grade students. For spelling, we're going to check and make sure that we spell correctly words that we've been taught. So you still want to be doing that good, like sounding out and stretching and thinking how you think you spell the word. But then when you go back and reread, did you spell the words that you know correctly? And then here's that second part. Did you use, it says use letter sounds to spell words I have not been taught. So you're really stretching sounds and putting down what you know about letters and sounds to spell those words that are harder that you don't know yet. Besides spelling, capitalization, we've talked about that. We're going to make sure we capitalize the first word of each sentence. We know that, right? The second thing, we capitalized dates and names of people. So those are things that you're looking to do as a student in first grade. This last part, this section, is about punctuation. Here's what you'll be checking. Use a period, which is like stop, a question mark, I don't know, or exclamation point, I really mean it, at the end of each sentence. So you find the one that makes the most sense. A period, a question mark, or an exclamation point. And the other thing you're starting to do in first grade, used commas in dates and after words in a list. So as I'm reading my work today and doing some of my editing, those are things that I'm looking for. Also going to make sure that it makes sense. I made a mistake when I was in the middle of writing this page on protection. I was realizing as I was spelling, I'm not spelling camouflaged right. I used the letters and sounds that I knew, but I looked at it and I'm like, that doesn't look right. So, as a good reader, I know I can look in the book, and I knew that I saw that word here on this page, and if you remember, I found the right spelling, and the word camouflaged was in bold print. So, because I'm doing my final copy, and I want it to look really nice, I don't want to have to remake the whole page. That would be hard, right? I mean, I could, but that's a lot of work. I could just leave it crossed out. It doesn't look quite as polished and final product that I want though. So what I was wondering is, What else could I do? Do you have any ideas? Here's what I was thinking. I thought, well, could I put a piece of paper over that part? What do you think? Would that work? Yeah, I think that would be okay. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put a piece of tape over just this part for this word and line it up. And then I'm going to rewrite the word camouflaged. A frog's skin helps it to be camouflaged. And again, if I want to really double check myself, I can have my book open with the word camouflaged right there. C-A-M-O-U, camouflaged. A frog's skin helps it to be camouflaged, period. So what I just did, learners, is I was checking my spelling, one of the things on my checklist. Okay there, learners, so the next thing we're doing today is thinking about a part of a book called the Table of Contents, which supports us as readers when we are going to read a book about an informational topic such as frogs. Now remember, everything we're doing about frogs or the animal you're studying is because we are trying to answer two big questions. We're discovering what are some ways that plants and animals meet their needs so they can survive and grow. And we're also discovering how animal parents or adults and their babies or offspring are similar and different. And so all the ideas we're going to put in our table of contents will be talking about those big ideas, survival and growth, and differences between adults and their offspring. And I wanted to show you in this book that we've used a couple of times, Frogs and Toads, a Bobby Kaufman book by Crabtree Publishers. In this book, there is a table of contents, and it literally says what is in this book. And there's a little phrase for each part, and then it tells you the page number. So for instance, if I wanted to learn about what frogs are doing in winter, it says winter sleep. And I would turn to page 22 because that's what this book is telling me is where I can find that answer. So we want to make something for our readers as writers of the book so that they can find where they're going. Now, here are the big topics that we learned about when we're studying about frogs. Habitat. Can you say habitat? Great. Do you remember what that is? It's the where, right? Okay. The next part that we talked about was body. What is the body of a frog like? And how does it help that frog to survive and grow? And we know that a body of a frog is a little bit different than the tadpole, right? This next word is communication. Can you say communication? Great. Communication, how they're going to talk. And we learned about them dancing and peeping and croaking, all kinds of different noises that they make to communicate. Diet. We learned that the diet, can you say the word diet? The diet is what they eat, right? So we learned all about the different things that a tadpole eats versus a frog. Movement. Can you say movement? Great. We learned that they're both good at swimming, both tadpoles and frogs, and that frogs have those really strong legs to be able to jump, right? How about this word? Protection. Can you say protection? Yeah, protection. That's how they keep themselves safe from predators, things that might want to eat them. And how they keep others safe, they communicate through some of their sounds that they make too. The last part, adults and offspring. Can you say adults? What's this word? And this other word is offspring. That's our last topic. So for people that are going to want to read our book that we made, these are the different parts that they would get to read about. And so we help them by putting a page number next to the word so they know what page they need to go to. This will help them and they'll know what page to go to read about each of these parts. So the first part is habitat. We're going to put number 1. The next part's body, we'll put a number 2. Communication, number 3. Diet, we'll put 4 because it's going to be on page 4. Movement, that's going to be page 5. Protection, that'll be page 6. And the last page will be spread over, or the last part, adults and offspring, will be over 2 pages, but it will start on page 7. We don't have to write the 2 pages it's on. We just know, if you go to page 7, you'll start learning about adults and offspring. Well done. So writers, you've helped me today to be able to revise my work and make it sound better for the reader. You've helped me to really think about how to use an amazing editing checklist to go back and check for spelling, capitalization, and punctuation. And now we've written a table of contents page. So the next thing we'll do, the next time we're together, is we'll read the whole book.
This program is made possible in part by the Michigan Department of Education, the State of Michigan, and the W.K. Kellogg Foundation. Additional support by, and by viewers like you. Thank you.